Englishcast. Anglický podcast na cesty.
Dobrý den, vítám vás u dnešního speciálního vánočního dílu podcastu Englishcast a chtěla bych zde dnes přivítat dva speciální hosty, který přijeli až z Dánska, jenom kvůli našemu podcastu. Tak samozřejmě to není úplně pravda, ale dozvíme se od nich, proč sem dneska přijeli a rozhodně nám řeknou i další informace o jejich životě, odkud jsou a potom i rozebereme nějaký jejich zvyky, tradice. A hnedka tady vítám první Terku.
Děkujeme za pozvání.
A vítám tady i Jonáše.
Ahoj, my name is Jon.
Tak, asi jste poznali, že Terka je místní, pochází tady z Opočna a Jonáš, ten je, nebo Jon, nevím, jak ti říkají, how do they call you?
Jon.
Jon, okay. So, Jonas is from Denmark, yeah?
Yes.
No a protože právě máme tady Jonáše, který česky nerozumí, nebo rozumíš česky? Do you understand Czech?
A little bit.
Little bit, okay. So we have to talk in English because Jonas doesn't understand. He is really originated from Denmark, so it means we have to discuss everything in English. And Terka, she understands Czech, but she will also be talking just in English. And I think that probably you recognize that they are first time two people talking, so it will be a little bit more intense, more complicated, but I hope we can make it. So this Christmas special is special, not only about the podcasters who are here, also about the number of podcasters, because we are first time 3, so I hope we can make it, everyone. And I'll start with the first question for both of you, and we will see who takes the word, because I'd like to know how you two know each other, because you are a girlfriend and boyfriend. So could you tell us more?
Yes, I would like to start on this one. I was at work in my factory, which is Danfoss in Denmark, in a location called Kolding, and I wanted to go down for a coffee. And then I saw this woman walking by a window, looking outside. She looked a little sad because I thought there was something wrong. And indeed, there was something wrong. I went to ask. And then I asked what was wrong, of course. And she said, well, there is a dead bird outside. And then that was where we started talking. So she asked me, hey, could I help? And then she can take it from there.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so the story begins around a dead bird, which is actually very sad. And obviously I care a lot about nature, so I was happy Jon could go and take a lead and help me out. However, the story ends with a dead bird, but two happy people bringing together. And it's been actually 2 years we've been together, right?
Yes, but it didn't actually stop there. The full story is just that she asked what we could do. I said, I don't know, but I can talk to the reception. Okay, I go and talk to the reception. I say, okay, there is a bird outside who has a broken wing. And it's kind of a woman here who would like the bird to get some help. So they said, okay, they would call the security. So they called the security a little bit later, and then when I went downstairs for a second coffee that day, I went directly to the reception to hear what had happened with the bird, and they said it was dead. Okay, you're all thinking very nice, but this just elaborates me to actually say, okay, I saw Teresa again. I might just ask how she is and if she knows what happened to the bird. If not, I would tell her. So it basically just ends up being me telling Teresa that the bird has been, how do you say this nicely? It has been put out of his misery, I would say. that would be the correct word here. And then I didn't have my phone with me at the time, and I wanted to ask her for her Instagram because I was kind of sneaky. I actually had my phone in the pocket, and then what I did was okay, I said I don't have my phone. Could I add you via your Instagram? She said yes, but she was very hesitant, and that was how we started talking, basically.
Also, I would like to add a note. He is an IT supporter, and that morning I had an IT request. So it actually came really handy. He came in my way, so he could fix my computer issue that day.
Only computer issues. And that was how we met.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful story. So I suppose that if you've been together for 2 years, you've already introduced each other to your families, or how are you actually living? You are in Denmark, and how often you visit your relatives?
Well, I can of course go and visit my relatives as much as I want, because they only live about 20 minutes away, sometimes 15, it depends on how fast you drive. But Teresa has also been introduced to my family, and she is basically a part of that family now, since we've been together for 2 years already. And they have all received that with open arms. Of course, there is a little bit, how do we talk to each other? Because Teresa doesn't know that well Danish. She tries her ass off to learn it, but it's still a little bit of a language barrier there sometimes. So I try to do my best to translate every time we are out for a family gathering, for example. And that is very good. Do you have anything to add?
No, I think your family is really welcoming and warm. And even though not also the broader family doesn't really speak English, they really try to welcome me with open arms every time I come around. So I think they are just super sweet people. It's just the language barrier that is making it difficult sometimes to communicate a lot of stuff. And I'm trying hard to learn Danish, but it's extremely difficult.
Yeah, what would you compare Danish to? Do you have any comparison?
Try to mix the language they speak in Belgium. Flemish, and try to mix it with German, and then try to mix it with English, and then put a little bit of Swedish and Norwegian, and there you have Danish. And then have a hot potato in your mouth, and that's how Danish sounds.
Oh, really, Jonas? Do you agree?
No.
Okay, can you say something to prove my point in Danish?
To prove your point?
Yeah, that it really sounds difficult.
Yeah, please, Jonas, tell us something.
Hej, mit navn er Jon. Jeg er 24 år gammel, og jeg bor i Sønderborg. It can sound a little bit like a potato, but I would say it's more like German and Swedish mixed together, because we have some special characters that German also have in Danish. One of them could for example be æ, ø, or o, and that is the most difficult letters to actually learn in Danish.
For me, it sounds a little bit like a combination of German and English. So I can a little bit understand you something, but I don't know if I could talk to you anyhow, yeah. But a little bit I got stuck when Terka said that your family doesn't understand English. I thought that everyone speaks English in Denmark, or they have troubles?
No, I wouldn't say necessarily troubles, but it's more like the older generation didn't really learn English in school back then. When comparing to the new generation, they actually do, and that's why the newer generation, which I am also in, I would consider myself in that category, is actually learning English and can actually speak it relatively easily, because it's an international language. I would almost say it's a universal language now, compared to maybe 40 years ago when they didn't learn it in school, for example.
I actually think it's also the point we are at the Jylland, at the Jutland, because I think when you come to Sjælland, Zealand, and you go more to the urbanized areas, I think the English is more common language. But since we are on the southern Jutland, then that's, in my opinion, makes it a little bit different, because it is also kind of a farmland where people are brought up on farms and there's a lot of agriculture. So in my perspective, that's what makes also difference.
And Jutland, that's a part of Denmark.
Jutland is there are two huge islands, and Jutland is the land part.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand.
Jutský poloostrov in Czech.
Yeah, good. That's just for the listeners to understand. Yeah.
I would say she has a point, but the point is just that every country is so acclimatized with English nowadays because they see it in movies, they see it in music, they see it in everywhere. Maybe my part of this, my point of view on Theresa's point of view, it is just that everybody in Denmark now is learning English, but everybody is also exposed to social media, where half of the content is also English. There is, of course, also Danish social media, but yeah. And what she mentioned about southern Jylland is called Sønderjylland in Danish. And then we have Fyn, which is one of the islands, and then the bigger island is Sjælland.
Where the Copenhagen is, right?
Yeah, correct.
Copenhagen is Kodang as well. Some people don't know that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I had a point, but I completely forgot what you were. Oh, about the movies, because I think that's something super interesting when we came to Denmark a long time ago, and we didn't even know each other. And I think we've been visiting with my family only. We just landed in one of the hotels in where was it? Struer. Yeah. See?
It's a very nice place.
Yeah. And we just turned on the TV, and all the movies were in English. Even though, you just turn on the TV, it's not even Netflix, it's just what goes on. So Danes, it seems like their TV is originally, all the movies are in English with Danish subtitles, which is something I was not exposed to when I was in Czech. We usually have dubbing everywhere, right?
Yeah, and we have excellent dubbing, so why would you learn English for that? Yeah, so...
Good point.
Well, I think dubbing is always a little bit skeptical, because I like to see the original part of the movie, right? I noticed a lot in Czech TV that if it's a movie or if it's an international series like Simpsons or what should we say, a movie called Gladiator 2, for example, that is also dubbed. And I think it makes sense because a lot of people down here don't speak English. But again, that by not being exposed to it, they don't really learn it in the same way. And I don't know if you, Paulina, can add a little bit on to that.
No, I just thought that it was the way Terka said, but it's quite surprising for me that as well you have dubbed films to that. Yeah, so I guess that for me it's a surprise that because we think that Danish people, they all know English perfectly. Or what I tell my students always is that from the northern countries, all people have a beautiful accent, or they speak like you, like very fluently and fast. So they have a problem to understand them. But that also there are some people who don't speak English. That's the surprise for me. Yeah. But what Terka said, it's I guess that the big advantage for you, that you have more films in the original language, not in dubbed version. Yeah. But I wanted to ask you one more thing. Because you were talking about the education, and we know that Denmark, it's very famous for a good educational system. So would you say there are some differences? Because Terka, she's studying university in Denmark, so maybe she has the best comparison to this. Could you tell us what's different? I know that you don't know so much how the Czech system works, but we do. Yeah. So you can just tell us your point, your view, and we have our picture.
Yeah. So I would probably start by saying that the Danish system is very practically oriented. And even though you are studying at a university, which is very theoretical compared to other educational institutions, it is extremely oriented to problem solving. So most of the exams or the practice within the class is oriented to problem solving, meaning we get tools, we get some knowledge, we get some theory, but in fact the exams are mostly going to be about, this is the issue, use your tools to solve this issue, and we are going to grade you based on your solution and how effectively and efficiently you can use the tools that you've been given. And I think that's super interesting and extremely different from what we learn in Czech, because it's mostly, this is the pages, 40 pages that you need to learn for this kind of exam. So, and in Denmark, it's mostly quite the opposite. You get all the tools you can for the exam. When you go to the exam room, you have access to internet, you have access to all your notes, all the books. Obviously, you cannot use AI at this point because it is still very limited and we are still new to it. But already I can see we can use AI, for example, for generating some of the reports. But we have also guidelines for it, so we shouldn't use it for searching information, but we should more use it for expressing ourselves in the correct way.
Yeah, I think this is a quite advanced form of learning, which we would love to reach one day. Okay, Jonas, you have a comment?
No, I don't have a comment. I just want Teresa to reflect on the two different schools she has gone to in Denmark. What is the difference between your first school and what is the advantage of going to a university now compared to your old college?
Yeah, so I have my bachelor's degree from a college, which is very practically oriented, and as part of the education you need to go to a company and conduct your internship. In Czech we would say stáž.
Yeah.
For listeners who don't really know the term of internship. And you have so all what you learn in the semesters, which is I think 4 semesters, then you really go out in the real world and you really try out to apply it out there, which is already some kind of a first exposure to the real world. And sometimes in school, this has been one of my biggest learnings. The world is not perfect, and in the school you get this perfect scenario every time. But that's not how the real world works. So I think the Danish system is also trying to get you out there, experience the real world and see, all right, it's not how it is in school. And maybe once I get out of the school, I already know how to apply all those tools to solve some of those issues.
And what company is it you have had an internship at?
So right now I have actually finished my internship with Danfoss, which is also where Jona works, and I have my part-time job there as well. So I had 6 months internship there. I've been working on a project where they've given me quite a lot of responsibility. It was a completely new pilot project for them, and they said, okay, Teresa, this is it. Please go and find out whatever you can. So I've been actually super lucky to get also having the open hand and the open world and go out and ask a lot of questions to different people, engage with them. So I think sometimes people don't treat you the same way, meaning they would not trust you, but in Danfoss actually allowed me to go out and investigate.
So that means in Danfoss you've had the opportunity to also explore, work under responsibility.
Also that, and I think this is super important when you go out to the job market after your education. So I would say Danish education system is preparing all of us to get out on the job market and be ready and already make network connections. And this is where we talked also about the study grant. So as an international student, you can work a few hours, I think 12 to 10 hours. And along with your salary, you get an educational grant from the government, which is actually 50% of my... it's actually double of my salary. So no, it's the same amount of my salary. So I get basically double for half of the work.
So you also get some financial support while you're taking your studies. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
And what do you call that term in Danish?
It's called SU.
And how is that different from being here in Czech and doing your education here in Czech?
Maybe Paulina can elaborate on that, because I have not been to the stipendium system in Czech.
Yeah, we do have something like a scholarship for this, but you have to have excellent grades, so it means just A's or red diploma. And as well, you can get a scholarship if you want to commute to school too far, but it must be, I don't know, longer than 60 kilometers. So then you get a scholarship for that. Or as well, if you are from a social weaker family, then you can get a scholarship. So we're also quite open to this kind of, we are good supporters as for the social system, but we don't have anything like a university loan that we could borrow the money and for the education and then give it back. We just get some contributions which we can use for certain things. But I would say we are also quite open in this, but we're definitely far away from you in the way how you do everything. Yeah. So we would have inspiration in your country, in your type of education, because it's completely different. Yeah.
I also wanted to add a little bit more on the exams, because not all exams are individual, but we have a lot of exams as a group project. So we get an assignment and then we have a couple of days to actually finish it. And again, again, it is not about finding all the answers in the book. It is more about, this is the issue, please solve it, because that's how the real world works in the end, right?
Yeah, that's really amazing. But I don't want to say that all universities do this just theory. I also think I studied one university, which also forced me more to have the critical thinking and to do more than just the theory. But it mostly depends on teachers, if they are more modern way teachers or if they are still old-fashioned teachers. And usually the university professors have the same old-fashioned way of teaching, about more theoretical things. Yeah, but it has been changing, but very, very slowly, I would say. All right, so education is a really interesting topic, definitely, but Jonas unfortunately didn't go to university, so he can't tell us so much about that, so Terka could share more. But the last topic that I'd like to discuss with you, because you are both from different universe, or I don't know if universe, but a little bit from different countries. So what would you say are the biggest differences between you if you take a look at the culture or where you grew up? Is there any difference, or you are completely the same people?
Oh, we are completely different people from different universe. But I'm also always trying to think, is this my background being brought up by my mom or my parents, or is this really the Czech way, the culture we have? So I think recently we had this, not an issue, but sort of a discussion about my home, my rules. And I'm not really sure how this works in Denmark, but I've been brought up in a way that, when you come to somebody's house, you're the guest. This is your home and your rules, and whatever is said, you need to follow. And there's been a little bit of, misunderstanding between us, because I took it too literally when the host actually didn't mean anything bad with it, but I took it too literally because I was brought up in the way I was brought up. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Jon, if you've experienced some culture shock being here in Czech Republic.
No, not really. I'm actually just going along as I do every day, and I think that's the main part of my culture. I'm very open to changes and new things, and I embrace cultures. Even though you're from a different country, you shouldn't be treated differently. That's how I do it. And also I've been brought up with always being polite and sweet and helpful. So that's my main way of doing things. I don't know if you have noticed that when I'm down here, Teresa, but I always offer to help your parents with something or help my own parents with something. And I think a little by little that's also affecting you, which is also opening your eyes to the way people are joking in Denmark, because that can be very hard to follow sometimes, I would say.
Definitely.
It's also the sarcasm is different when you talk in different languages. I get that. That's also something I noticed from being here in Czech Republic, and to be honest, I like it. It's very funny and very humorsome to be here. It's something I enjoy every time I'm here.
Yeah, but probably because I a little bit know you already, and I think you are really super nice, polite, and open, and every time very talkative. So, is this how everyone in Denmark is treated, or like everyone is behaving like this, or you are more than everyone else?
I don't know if I would say that I'm more than anybody else.
Or like more talkative and stuff.
But people are of course different, and I come from a different background where we are a joking family, and I think that's the way my mom and dad they raised me to be open and also to follow house rules. But in Denmark in general there is a big openness, and also sometimes the other way around, there is a bit of closure on people until you get to know them. At least that's what I notice in every day.
And so, you don't mind because you said it's fine for you to be here and you like the culture of ours. Yeah. So you don't mind that we are a little bit more distant people, then you have to a little bit get to know us. You don't mind this in your conversational style?
No, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's really good. This is my second Christmas in Czech Republic with my girlfriend and her family, and I think it's awesome. I like being here on Christmas, and then also showing Teresa the Danish part of the Christmases is also very nice. I try to do a lot of small stuff to show her how the Danish culture is compared to Czech, because I think there are also different similarities, but that we can talk about later, I guess.
Yeah, because we're doing 2 more episodes, and in the following one, which should be a little easier, we're just going to talk about Christmas. So if you want to listen about some Christmas traditions or how the Christmas celebrated here and comparison with Denmark, you can listen to the further episode. But I guess we've got enough material for this part. And for, let's say, goodbye, I would like to ask Jonas if he could say goodbye in Danish language. Yeah?
Should I say it in my common style or just in the normal style that everybody does it?
No, in your style. Yeah, just how you are used to saying people goodbye.
Nå, kan I have det godt alle sammen? Moin.
Okay, I didn't understand anything, but what did you say?
I said, well, I think we are done now. Can you have it good, everybody?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for coming or for flying here for Christmas and having a podcast with me. And Terka as well, I thank you so much. And you can also say goodbye.
Thank you for listening to us, and I hope you found it really interesting, us talking about how it is to be in Denmark and a little bit about ourselves. And mějte se moc hezky a my se těšíme na další epizodu.
Super, moc děkuju, já se taky budu těšit, bylo to s váma fakt skvělý, myslím si, že i jsem byla překvapená, jak jste spolu sami se na sebe ptali, takže jsem do toho nemusela moc zasahovat a budu se strašně těšit, že spolu zase někdy něco natočíme. Takže zatím vám přeju krásné Vánoce všem, pokud už nebudete poslouchat další díl a pokud ano, tak se určitě máte na co těšit, protože Vánoce budou naším hlavním tématem. A to je pro dnešek vše, takže zatím mějte se. Ciao!